Toney, an outstanding high school athlete. Amazingly enough, he was a quarterback. Not quite the temperament you normally expect a quarterback to have to go on to boxing. And right now, that temperament has Reggie Johnson backpedaling.
That's right. Toney scored a right hand on that exchange along the ropes and followed up with several good scoring punches. As we said earlier, questions about Reggie Johnson's chin. And for a moment there, it looked like it might be betraying him. Toney has not followed up effectively, did not continue the pressure.
There's a good right hand by James Toney after a right and a left by Johnson.
Both men have done their best scoring, except for the knockdown, which was a lead, as counter punches. And when that happens, you have a tendency to wait a little bit, and both guys are doing that. Scoring right jab by Reggie Johnson to the head and to the body.
Coming up to the end of the fourth round here in Las Vegas. Stay with us. Turn to Las Vegas here for the IBF Middleweight Championship bout between James Toney and Reggie Johnson. Johnson there on your left, Toney on the right. And that last round, Alex, the fourth, was James Toney's best round of the fight. Whether or not it was enough to sway the judges or not, I don't know.
In between rounds, Dan, Bill Miller in James's corner said two basic things to him. James, don't trail him around the ring. Cut him off and put punches together. And I think part of the reason that James is having trouble putting punches together is the movement by Reggie Johnson. He won't stand still long enough for James to put a combination together. So he's just throwing single punches.
Work your way out. Work your way out.
James tried to line him up for the right hand there. And
it's amazing how few guys will sit still and let you do that. I don't understand why a guy won't let you just hit him right on the forehead like that. Again, Toney digs at those trunks. Either his trunks are too big or that belt keeps letting down. A good right hand there by James Toney, and you can see he's got Reggie Johnson stunned.
And Reggie is moving his head well, but I think he might be better advised. Boy, oh boy, James Toney adjusting his trunks there. He's got a man hurt.
And he's adjusting his trunks.
And Reggie Johnson came back with a left-hand lead that made Toney put his arms down and look at him. Like, hey, pal, this is my first title defense. You better start cooperating.
Again, reaching for those trunks. Toney doing a better job here of keeping his gloves up by his head. Some of those big shots from Johnson are actually hitting his glove and driving him into his own head. Alex mentioned Bill Miller. There he is, the trainer of James Toney.
Bill Miller has been with James for his last 6 fights, and if you saw the Nunn fight, you know that Bill was exhorting Reggie to, you got to turn it on, young man. You're losing this thing, and James kept assuring him, I'm okay, he's tiring, and James proved that he knew what he was talking about with that late round knockout.
Well, he could replay the same speech right now. Whether or not there would be the same results, I'm not sure. Good work by both fighters here in the 5th round.
That time you saw Reggie Johnson on the left try to counter punch, and James Toney tried to counter the counter.
Well, James Toney attempting to mount a comeback. He's trailing, but just had a good round. Johnson moving into the ring. Neither fighter to this point, Alex, it appears that neither one of them appear to have any swelling or cuts or anything that might be a problem later on in this fight.
Each man has landed his fair share of power punches at this point in the fight. The nice thing about these two young men, Dan, is, and it's really unusual today, is these are two fresh young faces. Usually if you got a young fighter, he's in against a veteran trial horse type of fighter, or he's in with a guy he can beat easily. These are two young, competent guys on their way up. It's part of the reason they're not shown. They're not the worst for wear. Here's Reggie Johnson, a place he does not want to be, which is in a corner. He did the smart thing and grabbed and held on, but Reggie needs to use his legs to get out of those positions. And there in his corner is Albert Davila. Whoa! A beautiful move there by Reggie Johnson. I think it was as much a shove as the power of the punch, and perhaps their feet got tangled up. But he definitely went out. He was out of there in a hurry and made a great defensive move.
He sure did.
To avoid the follow-up punch.
James Toney with the right hand went right over the top of Johnson as he was rebounding off the ropes. There was a right hand that sent him there. Another big right hand.
Yeah, whether it was a clean punch or not, it clearly signals the resurgence or the stepping up of the resurgence by James Toney.
There was an attempt at an uppercut by Toney. A reminder that later on today we're going to have a report on last night's fight. Alex had a chance to get together with Mike Tyson this morning, plus we'll have pictures of the bout last evening as well, so make sure to stay with us. We'll have that later on here on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
We were talking about Albert Davila in Reggie Johnson's corner. Albert was the former WBC bantamweight champion of the world. Guy who fought all the big names of that division. Was a terrific little fighter. He had one of the great nicknames in boxing history, Albert Tweety Bird Davila. But he was a tough little kid. He's a good trainer, solid trainer.
Tweety Bird?
Tweety Bird had all the right advice for his man in between rounds, Dan. You know, put them together. Don't back out with your chin up. Don't get lazy. And pop the jab. Reggie just has not been busy enough. He has not been using that right jab enough. He's got a good one. He's got to stick with it.
This fight is scheduled for 12. If it goes the distance, we're at the halfway mark.
Where the punch there, about a cuff by James Toney, staggered Reggie Johnson back against the ropes, and then you saw the good move by Reggie to get out of the way of the follow-up.
Again, James Toney reaching for those trunks. I guess there's no adjustment Alex they can make, but it's clearly a distraction.
Yeah, I think it's a nervous tick, although it's not one that he's had before.
We haven't seen it in any of his previous fights.
Meldrick Taylor with
a couple of good jabs there by James Toney, and then he followed it up with a right.
Meldrick Taylor's sitting behind us, watching the fight. Outstanding Olympic gold medalist and two-time world champion. And Meldrick had the same kind of nervous tick, still has it. But this is new for James. Reggie again waiting too much.
Well, if Julio Cesar Chavez was here, we'd have the trio together again with Richard Steele working this fight.
You know, I must say, Dan, first of all, it's good to see Richard Steele back in the ring. It's right in this ballroom that he first came under a lot of criticism by us and many others for stopping the Julio Cesar Chavez Meldrick Taylor fight. And then, of course, in March 18th, jumping in prematurely, in our opinion, to stop the Tyson Ruddock fight. Since that time, he's had a knee operation. He's worked a couple of fights. You know, he's a solid, competent referee, a world-class referee, who, in my opinion, had a couple of bad nights, and who was also adjusting his trunks right there.
Well, you know what? I want to give credit to the crowd here at the Hilton, who were kind to Richard Steele when he came on the scene to be the referee. He worked the fight here Friday night, the Tommy Morrison fight, and I guess was booed rather lustily by the crowd. And I think the crowd here today showed a great deal more style and a little more dignity towards one of the game's great referees.
And he might have been booed by a few of those people who bet the Chavez-Taylor fight to go the distance.
People like that have long memories, don't they?
Oh, again, Reggie Johnson just waiting too much, and that time he got popped a good punch. James Toney has come back and gotten back into this fight, and I think it's primarily because Reggie Johnson is letting him do it by not being active enough.
James Toney, a fighter by our count, was 4 points behind after the first 3 rounds, as indeed Alex mounted a fine comeback.
We're at the halfway mark.
And he appears to be a little more focused, Alex. He almost looked disinterested the first couple of rounds.
second round had to get his attention.
Here we come to the end of the 7th round. James Toney has put his pedal to the metal. The beginning of round number 8. The ballroom of the Las Vegas Hilton. I'm Dan Deerdorf along with Alex Swallow ringside.
Again, a right hand by James Toney.
And we have seen 2 fights. The first part of this fight belonging to Reggie Johnson, and the second part belonging to James Toney, who right now pummeling Johnson up against the rope.
And an inside right hook hurt Reggie Johnson in that exchange. Made him hold on. Well, technically, Reggie can take a shot at a man who's turned his back like that. He chose to do the sportsmanlike thing. And just when James looked like he was taking the fight over, he has one of those strange little walkabouts or whatever it is where he just sits there and takes punches.
An uppercut by Johnson got through.
Looks right now like both men are a little bit winded. James Toney is trying to get some air, and I think if Reggie has something, this might be a time to try to jump on James Toney.
Reggie Johnson trained at high altitude for this fight.
There, good right jab, good stiff, best right jab of the fight by Reggie Johnson. And James Toney is tired. That big flurry early in this round, Dan, took a lot out of him.
Another reminder to our ABC stations that we'll be taking a station break at the end of this round. Another jab. 2 jabs get through. Oh, and there was a right hand
no knockdown.
by James Toney, and it hit the glove of Reggie Johnson. And alertly, Richard Steele gets in and waves it off. No knockdown.
The way Reggie Johnson looked back, it may be that his foot just went off a very narrow apron here at the Las Vegas Hilton, and his foot just went out from under him. It's a little bit less than a foot apron, maybe just a foot. And Reggie's foot didn't make it.
And that was very solid refereeing by Richard Steele.
Whatever it was a nice thing for James Toney because it allowed him to get a little bit of a breather. And maybe took a little bit something out of Reggie.
There was a good right hand to the chest by James Toney. But Reggie Johnson still has his legs. ABC's Wide World of Sports will return after this word down the line from our ABC station. James Toney, as he has the last 4 or 5 rounds, putting together a real workmanlike effort in the 8th round.
But Reggie Johnson came out here in round 9, and he apparently believes what his corner told him in between rounds, and that is that you're letting him steal the fight. He's tired, and you're not working hard enough. Whether he can sustain the kind of combination punching he showed us in the opening seconds of this round, Dan, I think will really be the key to the rest of the fight.
Well, I mentioned how Johnson had trained at high altitudes at Big Bear Lake at over 8,000 feet, and he does appear to be the fresher of the two. His legs still have spring. He's moving around, but the punches of James Toney are the heavier of the two. Again, another reminder that we have a report coming your way about the Tyson Ruddock fight of last night. That'll be later on in this program.
James Toney again taking the play away.
Jab by Toney scores.
This fight is still up for grabs, Dan. I mean, on our scorecards at least, and you have to think on everybody's scorecard. I mean, Reggie pretty decisively won the first and third round 1-point rounds. The second had to be a 2-point round. I think you can make it